All right, everybody. Welcome to our interview with Moses Kamai. Hi, Moses. How you doing?
Hi, Danny. How you doing?
Moses is a longtime supporter of the Reno Ukulele Festival and many others. Everybody knows Moses. All the other promoters and people I talk to say, "Oh yeah, Moses. I know Moses." So you've been around the block for several years. How many times have you been to Reno
Um,
Ukefest?
Probably 14 times.
And we're on number 16 right now.
And you're number 16. I missed the first one or two that were in Tahoe.
You probably hold the mantle for the most Reno Uke Fest attended then. Awesome.
I don't know, but I know there's a couple of people that I met at that very first one, and they're still going to like the Sunshine Coconuts.
That's right. I'm gonna be calling them to see if we can include them in this year's festival on an official level. Um, Now you're going to be teaching this year,
Yes.
and so what we want to do is kind of introduce you to the world and ask you, tell us about the workshop that you're going to be teaching.
So I'm going to be teaching something I teach my beginners. Typically, when beginners start, they don't hold the chords with the left hand quite right, and you get a lot of buzzing, you get dead notes and things
Mhm.
like that. So I have an exercise that I introduce to them once they know how to put their fingers on the fretboard just by touching it and holding the string down to start using bar chords. This is the first one that I'll introduce the class to. So
Okay.
they'll take the bar chord and they walk out at the neck. There is no chord naming exercises in my class for this session. This is all about tone, getting tones out of each string, and then the tempo, so that you have to play them in a reasonable rhythm. So this will slowly build up the confidence that I could play each string in sequence in time and get clean notes. And if you can move that chord up the neck and move it back down the neck, slow is smooth, which is another one of my phrases, and smooth is fast. You go only as fast as
Okay.
you can keep time and keep clean notes, and then you keep this in repetition, and then what happens? You actually end up playing it faster. And some of the example chords are, well, one of the hardest chords that all beginner ukulele players hate is the B flat chord.
That darn B flat. Um, People avoid songs completely if it has a B flat in it, and it's such a shame because I think we were talking, and some of those chords that you're going to show us are called movable chords, so that B flat can
Correct.
become other chords.
Can I show you an example?
Yeah, please.
So, of course, I'm doing it on this Pono that I got from you last year at the Reno Uke Fest.
Uh huh.
So, and it's got the well, anyways, not to belabor the thing on the ukulele. So the thing is that typically when they play a song like this progression for La Bamba, well, okay, that's fine, but you're all playing it down here in the first part, and I like to use as much of the neck because I paid for the whole thing. So it sounds better if you do this.
Raise it up so we can see. That sounds more like the song.
Now, of course, that's a lot of songs. You can hear a lot of songs in there, but the difference was in the two is that this was the melody line. So if I want to play that and playing it with one of the hardest chords, would like to have it nice and clean when I strum it.
Yeah.
Since we're not Superman or Superwoman, or and it means I could still only strum one string at a time, very fast, but only one string at a time. So
Okay.
why not start with
That way you know where the zone is. Ah,
correct? And if you
okay.
play clean tones, and you play it at the reasonable tempo, you'll start to clean that up. And I've seen couples, and I've had couples as students, where they are able to play all of these crazy closed chords and move them all around the neck, and then they start to realize that, well, I could play that melody by playing these chords.
Ah,
And so now they have, because when they do that, that was the big thing is getting beginners to overcome the fear that they can't play fancy until they do a lot of years. But what they need is just someone to coach them how to play that left hand part cleanly, and that's what my
Yeah.
focus is on.
I think that is so invaluable because the melody does go higher than the A string. And it goes higher than fret 5. So as you go higher up than fret 5, you're going to need to find chords higher up. So knowing those movable shapes and making sure that they're nice and clean, that's kind of what separates the amateurs from the professionals, isn't it?
Almost. I mean, there's a journey between those 2 points.
Yeah.
This is just a way to put that journey on their map, so to
Nice.
speak.
Okay, so you may not do any specific songs besides La Bamba, but you're going to be teaching mostly like really core technique. Is that right?
Chord technique, and I might get into some example progressions where they could use those closed chords because we'll go start with the bar chord, for example, and then we'll play something like diminished chords, and that's a fascinating chord because you only need to know 3 positions, and you've played every diminished chord position.
Oh, that's right.
and
Oh,
and then it repeats itself. So I have techniques on how if you play a diminished chord and it doesn't sound right, pick a direction, move it 1 fret, and if it still doesn't sound right, quickly move it 1 more fret in the same direction. Guaranteed you're on the right chord.
yeah, and I'm sure somebody watching at home is like, how is that possible? But that's the magic of the ukulele, right? One
Right,
thing is
and
usually something else.
right, and if they do that and they just follow that rule set, a very simple rule set, somebody's going to watch them and say, "Wow, you're really good,"
Yeah,
and it's from just something that simple.
nice. Cool. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do? Where do you live at?
I live in Virginia. I'm
Okay.
getting ready to retire, so I'm going to have a lot more free time to. Well, I don't call it my free time. I call it my fun time. Whenever I get to play music, it's fun time.
That's right.
Um,
And what you
and
do for a living has nothing to do with music, but you have some music things that you've been doing on the side all these years. Is that right?
Correct. I teach private lessons at a music school, Music Spectrum School of the Arts, and then
Oh,
I also have a society that I run. It's one of the largest in the area. And the before COVID, the society would play at the adult assisted living centers kind of places, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 25 performances a year.
oh, wow.
And that's including stuff that we would do with the regional libraries. And then
Okay.
the ensemble would play anywhere between, and it's usually from late spring to December, anywhere between 10 to 15 performances a year. This year it got crazy because the society I'm trying to rebuild after COVID, but the
Hmm.
ensemble's been picking up that slack for performances. And this year for the ensemble, we probably will have about 15 performances by the time we finish Christmas.
Oh, from here till Christmas, you'll have
Yeah.
15.
Well, from January. So we had
Oh,
some
okay.
couple in January. We had St. Patrick's
Yeah.
Day. We had a couple of pro bonos for fundraising from a big charity in the area, and they
Nice.
raised almost $1 million overall for the 3 days. So
Oh my
it was
gosh.
fantastic and fun to participate in that. Um, but yeah, that's just one of the things. And of course, like you said, I go and so that's the ensemble stuff.
Hmm.
And then I go to all these different festivals, and my favorite has always been Reno Ukulele Festival.
Well, you don't
Bec-
have to say that,
Well,
but
no, I'm
it's been
going to
mine too.
because it's family. I mean, we go there, and it's like you see everybody you know,
Yep.
you meet with them in the lobby, you go have dinner with them or lunch with them
Yep.
throughout the festival, and then of course we have that big jam circle at after everything is done.
Yep.
There's a bunch of us that run down to the upper lobby by the festival, and we just go have a big jam circle.
And Moses is kind of he's always at the jam, and he's a great leader of the jam in a way. There's no official leader, but I
Nope.
think you'll generally find Moses down there jamming. We call it the midnight jam because people are usually there till midnight or 2 a.m. I hear. I'm up in bed sleeping. I'm a
and
morning person, so I'm
and
up
and,
at 6.
and Rosie's does serve early breakfast at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my gosh, that's right. And did you know that we're going to have some food available for sale, all 3 meals upstairs this year?
Oh, I do, and I was totally stoked when you announced that
Yeah.
because sometimes at lunch it's a challenge to get from your last class, hang out
Yep.
with friends, run to lunch, get lunch, run back, and then make your next class.
That's
It's
right.
always a challenge.
Yep, and we've even elongated the lunch now, so it's 2 hours, and we'll have
Hmm.
entertainment happening and open mic during the lunch, and then the lunch is also served upstairs. So there's be so much opportunity for camaraderie, to hang out with the friends you already know, and to meet new friends too.
Absolutely. Made a lot of new friends last year because there was about half of the attendees were all brand new.
First timers.
Yep.
I know. You know, it's so funny. I had those little ribbons that said first timers, and we ran out of them. And then I had 5 year and I had 10 year ribbons, and I had so many people coming up and going, "This is my second year. This is my third. This is my fourth year. Why don't you have a ribbon for me?" So this year, I already told my volunteers it might get a little messy up at the registration, but we're going to have a year ribbon for every year so that everybody can be represented. And then every year you can get your new ribbon.
And we're ready to help you however we can.
Yeah, that's right. Moses has been a fantastic help and volunteer as well. Well, okay, so what do you have coming up besides Reno?
I've got one big trip. There's a couple other festivals I go to, the Strathmore and things like that. Those are all really good festivals.
Yeah.
Um, and unfortunately, I'm going to miss LA one because I will be in um, Canada at that time. We're,
Oh,
yeah, we do um, two annual trips. One in this winter time to go someplace warm, and then sometime in the summer go north. And this year it's Nova Scotia, up in
nice.
and which is interesting because that's where um, James Hill and Ann Davis live.
Oh, really? In
But
Nova
I'm gonna
Scotia?
right in Nova
Huh.
Scotia in that area.
Yeah.
But in a few days after we get back, I'll be flying to Sicily to meet James Hill there for the Ukulele Getaway Sicily. And I can't
Oh,
remember.
that
I think
sounds
there are
like fun.
25 of us that are flying there. We're going to learn a bunch of songs in about 6 days, and then we usually play it in some place in like a church or something like that. I don't
Oh
have the
my
final
gosh.
performance location, but it's always been like a church because it got
Someplace
nice
where
and beautiful acoustics.
the acoustics and it just sounds like a holy experience.
Oh yeah, I'm
Oh,
totally
how
excited.
cool.
Totally excited for that trip.
Have you ever been to Sicily before?
Nope. I have to figure out how to move my wallet, or remember to move my wallet from my back pocket to the front pocket, because that's where the
The pickpocketers?
certain notorious groups hang out.
You know what I did? I started wearing a fanny pack, and it's got a little latch on it so you can't unlatch it without like really fumbling with it. I never thought I'd be a fanny pack wearer, but my money's in the front.
Yeah. So I mean, but it's going to be an exciting trip. One of the what do you the bucket list items, and I didn't know this. It was purely by accident. Where I'm flying into
Yeah.
is got a great view of Mount Etna.
Oh,
And it's smoking right now. So it's I don't think any lava's flowing, but it's smoking. So it'll be nice to be flying into Catania, Sicily.
uh-huh.
Um, so and you know, hopefully I picked the correct side of the aircraft, so I could see and take pictures of Mount Etna as we fly into the airport.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, super
Very
cool.
exciting. That's one of the things, man. Has afforded so many people the chance to travel because I was just going online and looking at festivals all over the world. And of course, several of them, I mean, there's only a fraction of the ukulele festivals still around that were around in like 2009 through
Right.
2015. But still, they're in all over UK, they're in Ireland, they're in Australia, they're all over the United States, of course, all over Hawaii. And I think a lot of people have a lot of fun just having it as a destination in mind. And I have a couple of friends that are about to go to England for the Ukulele Festival of Great Britain, and they were saying that every time they travel, they just look up the local uke club and they make friends
Yep.
instantly.
Yep.
So it sounds like you've really taken advantage of that over the last 15 years or so.
Yeah. One place it's on my bucket list to maybe go is the Great Northern Ukulele Festival, the one you just talked about, and the
Oh,
Berlin one.
Berlin. Yes,
Yeah,
I learned
that's an
about
up and coming
Berlin.
one. That's a nice one. Never been to Berlin. The last time I was in Germany that was even close. There was a East and West.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yep, yep. There's one in Berlin as well. There's one in France. There's one in Italy coming up as well, the Monopolele next May.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I thought because that one they just finished.
Yes, yes. I say it's coming up because I'm putting my hat in the ring for
Okay.
next year. But yeah, oh, that's so exciting. Well, Moses, we're so excited that you're coming back to join us, and you just add so much sparkle to our festival, and we're so thankful that you've been around since its inception, practically. It wouldn't be the same without you. So thanks for joining us and for lending
Well,
us your
thank you.
teaching talents and your experiences. And we look forward to seeing you in October.
And thank you for inviting me, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right. See you then. And we'll see
All
you
right.
all then too.
Aloha.
Aloha.